Hello, how is everyone doing? It is your fallen angel, back with another video. Today, we are going over the facets of cunning, the analytical mind specifically. So, when we understand the facets of cunning, there are realms to this. There's levels to cunning, right? It's not just about having more information and being a bookworm and intelligence and that sorts. Of course, that's part of it. But we also have to use the analytical mind to read people, read body language, read tonality, and understand what they're thinking prior to even engaging, right? This is an important skill for business, finance, love life, relationships, things of that nature in this cosmos. So without further ado, we shall begin. You must be able to read body language and vocal tonality accurately and be able to understand the covert subtext behind any overtly spoken words. As Illimitable Man said, communication is multi-layered. You should always understand what is being said, what is truly meant, and what may possibly be implied. So, often, a lot of jealousy comes in the form of jokes. You must be able to pick this up, right? You must be able to pick up things like this. The way they say things, how they say things, the tonality behind the way they say things. The eyes, you must watch the eyes. There's a movie called Scarface. The eyes never lie, Chico. This is the truth. You must always watch where the eyes are going, whether it be in a left pattern, right pattern. The way they say things, if there's a smile on their face. Body language, are their feet pointing towards you? All these things are subtle ways of communication. All forms of communication is mainly body language and tonality. About 80% of spoken languages, or when we communicate together, 80% is body language. 20% is what's the words being said. It's essential to read this because these are the underlying factors to understand what's really being said and what's being implied, because communication is definitely multi-layered. Cold reading is the ability to make accurate deductions regarding an individual's psychological makeup from nothing more than looking at them. Warm reading is cold reading, but with time being spent interacting with the person, listening to how they talk, and observing their actions. So, just by a glance, everyone judges someone. Whether they want to tell you that or not, they're going to judge you based on how you look, based on anything, based on your clothing, based on how you walk, based on how you talk, your demeanor, etc., etc. This is all being judged psychologically, right? The hippocampus is recording this and the subconscious is watching. So, based on cold deductions, you can get a good indication on whether if someone has a weak aura, a strong personality, or a weak personality. You can tell all of this just by looking at them, if you know how to cold read efficiently. Warm reading is basically confirming your bias now. While you're going to spend time with them, you're going to see how they talk to other individuals. You're going to see how they interact with other individuals. You're going to see what sets them off. You're going to see what makes them upset, what makes them happy, what makes them laugh, how they talk, how they walk. You're observing their actions now, and now the warm reading is confirming your original cold reading. That's these two coinciding. It is inevitable that the deductions you make about a person, psychological makeup, will be more accurate after spending time with them to do warm reading than if you were to only do a cold read. But nonetheless, both warm reading and cold reading are capabilities you must master to have any hope of navigating the game of power effectively. So in the game of power, it's all an exchange for power and pleasure. In this game of power, it's essential you read people, right? Because no one is going to outright tell you their intentions. Everyone is like a poker player, right? I like to think of this as a poker game, right? You want to let everyone talk about themselves. You want to let them reveal their cards. You want to keep your cards. You want to hold your cards while also allowing the enemy. In the book from Sun Tzu, The Art of War, you want to make sure we allow the enemy to reveal their cards while we hold on to ours, right? You want to appear your weakest when you're at your strongest, and you want to appear your strongest when you're at your weakest. This is also a deceptive mind game. You want to make sure they never know anything about you that can actually affect you. You want to just be the master at the game, right? So it's essential to understand cold reading, understand warm reading, and understand how you want to allow anyone you're around to drop their cards so you could get a better reading of them. This allows you to have power, control, and you control the narrative. The specific deductions that should be made from specific clues is culturally dependent and changes from one time and a place to another. So these deductions we make can always be nuanced. That always can change over time, right? People are changing their minds and changing things about themselves every moment, right? Whenever they see something of a more powerful demeanor change their mind, they'll change their mind instantly, right? It just requires a powerful person to impact them. They will always follow the most powerful person in their life. In modern America, a man wearing a MAGA hat indicates he is politically right-wing, while a woman having blue hair indicates she is politically left-wing. So yes, for the most part, we can make these deductions in America. It's pretty easy because in America, people do not hide what or who they believe in. They like to openly let it be known because we like to think that they're up for conflict, right? They want conflict, right? They crave this type of attention and conflict, right? For the person who is a true master of manipulation, it's always important to hide your cards. No matter what you believe, it's essential that you hide your cards and allow everyone else to reveal theirs, right? This is how you become a perfect poker player and a perfect player in this in this game of power. Such deductions are so easy that even the least cunning among us could figure them out. To master the analytical facet of cunning, you must get to the point of being able to make deductions that are accurate, consequential, and not obvious to most people. So we want to make deductions that we can read somebody that most people are not able to read, right? We want to know, we can sense things based on aura, based on temperament, based on just a few observations. Just looking at the individual, we could say, yeah, I already know that they're not on timing. I already know that they're lazy. I already know they're like a sloth. I already know that they are not worth my time. We have to be able to deduct this kind of things quickly, right? Because we don't want to waste a single moment of time. Cold reading is easier in modern America than in most societies, in the sense that our time and place is one where you can know virtually everything about a person's worldview and political preferences with very little information about them. So yes, guys, in many other societies, it'd be practically impossible to know who they believe in, what they're practicing, etc., etc. But in America, they will gladly portray it outwards because, like we said, whether it's an attention scheme or they enjoy conflict, whatever it may be, they want to let it be known. Little do they realize that they're losing power by doing so, right? To maintain power, you must not let your cards be shown. Regardless on who you believe, it's essential that you don't portray it because you're losing power by doing so. If they work in academia or journalism, they are probably left-wing and think that Donald Trump is Satan. If they are in the military or work in finance, they are probably right-wing and think cutting taxes will magically create an economic utopia. So we see that there's nuance on both sides. In most societies, making accurate and thorough deductions about a person's worldview, with such little information as their job title, is difficult or impossible. So, in America, if there's a liberal arts teacher in a college, we probably can deduct that they're left-wing. If someone is a real estate agent or maybe a mortgage banker who enjoys tax cuts, or they enjoy making sure they save money from tax cuts, they're probably right-wing because they both work for the services of each other. So we can always deduct, in America at least, who someone believes in based on what they work for. Because who they work for is a good indicator of who they believe in and what they want out of it, right? But in other countries or other societies, it'd be a little bit more difficult to just deduct that. The analytical facet of cunning must be distinguished from having a high IQ. To have a high IQ is to be capable of comprehending complexity, whether expressed verbally or mathematically. The analytical mind, facet of cunning, is the ability to read body language, vocal tonality, personalities, and social situations accurately. So like in our previous videos, feel free to check that out as well. We explain how IQ is the horsepower brain. It's like being able to process things very quickly, use the neocortex to process things very quickly. Having a high IQ and analytical mind, they can definitely coincide. They can be the same thing, but they're also different at the same time. Being analytical is being able to read the room around you, read the individuals around you. This requires experience. This requires a little bit more of something that can't be taught in a book, right? This is something you have to read in the present moment. Autistic men often have sky-high IQs and are incredibly good at manipulating mathematical and verbal abstractions. They can do calculus in their sleep, but are hopelessly incapable of reading body language or vocal tonality. They are separate sets of abilities. So, like we explained, many autistic men and geniuses, they are great at math and calculus and things that require processing power of the brain, the neocortex, but they don't understand tonality. They don't understand body language. They don't understand the little things that human beings are doing to set them apart, right? These little factors like body language, vocal tonality, and their personas, their personalities, and these facades that they're putting out. It's a little bit more different for them, right? That's why we could say that women are social butterflies. They can read the analytical mind quite well, but they might not have extremely high IQ. Meanwhile, there are many women with only average or even below average IQs who could never learn calculus, but who can quickly analyze people's body language, vocal tonality with razor sharp accuracy. So yes, there's levels to this, right? There's people who can read the room, body language, feet pointing towards you, eye contact, smile, whatever it may be. They know how to read it, right? They know how to read it because they know social cues since they've been a young age. Especially if they lived in America, they know social cues since they were about 13 years old. They've been learning social cues since a young age. But for men, they haven't been learning social cues, right? They're not that good at social cues. Well, some aren't, but some are. So the importance of this is to learn that you must, for the game of power, you must be high IQ, and you also must have the analytical mind. So it's essential you learn both in order to become the best version of yourself and learn the game of power. With that being said, guys, this is the facet of cunning and explaining the analytical mind. Feel free to like and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below. I'd love to read them. Check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. This has been your fallen angel, and I am out.